Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen.
Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Glad you're with me today because I want to talk about something that is a little different than how I typically talk about this. I always talk about how you can improve your life so that you can live fully with the least amount of pain and suffering possible. But today, when I talk to you about how you can really start living your life with ease, I'm going to share with you this one thing. It really is one thing that if you trust it completely, your life will be unbelievably easier and you will feel safe and secure. Have you ever met somebody who's truly at peace? I mean, seriously at peace with their lives, like not resigned, not settling for whatever it is that they have going on, but somebody who's really at peace. These kinds of people are few and far between in the world, but if you've ever met one of them, you really can't forget them. Their light shines brightly, but it's soft. People who are truly at peace aren't people who haven't had hardships, losses, or disappointments. They definitely have. But the difference between somebody who's truly at peace with themselves in their lives and someone who's striving to get there, to me, is clear. Those people who are truly at peace, who are truly happy, know one thing for sure that most people don't. And this belief is stronger than any other belief that they have. Because of this one belief, these happy, peaceful people have an inner strength that is undeniable. They have solid feet when the world is falling apart. They have the capacity to forgive when their heart is breaking. They have peace and ease in moving on when something isn't meant to be. They have a knowingness that there is a higher order in place and in motion. They have an ease in letting go of what they can't control. There's one common denominator that happy, peaceful people possess, and that is that they know that God is enough. I was speaking with my personal trainer, who's a young girl, 31 years old, who's wiser than her years. In fact, she recently became an ordained minister in her church. Her belief in God is tangible, and her faith in God unshakable. I was doing an excruciating second set of sit-ups. She always tortures me, but I love it. I moan the whole time, and she laughs, but I do it. And I'm grateful that I get through it. But I was doing a bunch of sit-ups this time when we began to talk about the difference between religion and faith. We talked about this difference and agreed on the following. People who are religious rely on doctrine, tradition, and ritual as guideposts for their lives. They live by what they believe is the Word of God and have strong beliefs about what's right or wrong according to what's written in their Bible. And it doesn't mean that they don't have some degree of faith in God, but they live their lives by what others have dictated as proper and right. And there's nothing wrong with this. But the difference between them and people who have faith is that people who have faith, they aren't tied to these things. While people of faith practice certain traditions and rituals, their identification with God isn't based on the pre-written or prescribed actions. Again, nothing wrong, just different. The difference between these two kinds of people is that people of faith build a relationship with God based on what they believe is right or wrong, not what a book dictates. Happy and peaceful people know that God is enough. that their relationship with God is far more than words on a page and more powerful than a recited prayer or two. They know that God is writing their story, that God has better things planned for them, and they know that loving God is the only love they really need in their lives. Because with God's love, everything is taken care of. Happy people aren't concerned with things, and they know that whatever happens is meant to be for their highest good. They've learned that as long as you depend on others for your happiness, you'll experience disappointment, and that when you depend on yourself and God for your happiness, you surely have it. Happy people know that being plugged into the energy of God, which is made up of love, compassion, and forgiveness, not rules of right or wrong, and certainly not a kind of energy that claims that you're born a sinner and you need to spend the rest of your life trying to redeem your pathetic soul. They know that practicing gratitude is easy and that they can find the silver lining in any hardship when they believe in God. Long and short of it is that, in my humble opinion, the people find happiness and peace when they find and connect with God. I can always tell when I'm disconnected from God. I feel harried, unsettled, confused, sad, lost. I can't concentrate. I'm distracted, all of that stuff. But when I find a way to plug back in, life just seems right again. Somehow leaning into the knowingness that God has my back helps me, and I really believe that. Even now, when there are several things in my life that aren't certain, I know deep down inside that what isn't happening now is supposed to be on pause. I may not like that it's on pause, but I have complete reverence and understanding that there's a bigger reason for that thing not happening yet, even if I don't like it. The human part of me, my ego, wants to know why, when, how. And I can't help that part of me because I am human. But my higher self knows the deeper meaning of why not, and that it will be revealed in time. I am certain that nothing ever happens outside of divine timing. When you live your life allowing yourself to be directed by God and then take action accordingly, there's something magically easy about life. There's no more pushing square pegs in round holes. There's no more personal agenda. It's God's agenda, and we never know what that agenda is, let alone its timeline. There's a saying that says, "You plan and God laughs." It is so spot on. I can't begin to tell you how many times that statement has been proven true for me. And when things do happen according to my timeline or wish list, here's what I know. That the decision for it to occur has had very little to do with me. I know that what happens in my life is always in my favor, even if what I want to happen does or doesn't happen. Trusting in a higher power is everything. And in my opinion, if you don't believe in something larger than you, then you'll easily become lost and off track. It is so easy to carry self-doubt, and we do that because we're only focusing on ourselves and what we alone as humans are capable of, which is very little in comparison with the higher power. It's a slippery slope if the only power we believe in is ourselves. Think about all the coincidences and synchronicities that occur in your life. Those things don't happen because you created them. Please don't flatter yourself. They happen because things are in alignment to reinforce your belief that something bigger is out there working on your own behalf and hearing you, that a force of greatness is at work so that you know you're not alone. Once you learn that God is enough, you'll never have to question yourself again, because it ain't all about you, sweetheart. That's what I'm trying to say. You'll never doubt that there's a reason why things happen in your life, with, of course, the exception of severe trauma and loss. I totally get that. And you'll never doubt your intuition or nudges that you get as you move through your days. With the knowledge that God is enough to bring happiness and peace into your life, you will feel fulfilled, loved, and cradled in the safest place you could imagine. Have you ever pleaded with God when times are tough? Why did you do that? Somehow, somewhere in your mind, you knew that God could possibly exist, and that if you formed an agreement or partnership with God in that moment, even for just a moment, to get out of a bad situation or to get a particular result, that something that you wanted was possible with God's help. Am I right? So, how do you trust God? What does God have to do for you in your life for God to earn your trust? To deserve a chance in your life, to be revered in your life, for you to have a relationship with God. I think most people who don't believe in God believe that God has failed them. People with illness, chronic illness, might feel this way. I know many people with chronic illness who believe that. People who have suffered great and traumatic losses might very well believe that God has failed them because they're in such horrendous pain and suffering. How can you argue with those people, though? I can't, to be honest with you. What I can say to those people is that when horrible things happen, God can handle the anger and pain that you have towards the energy of God. What I believe is that God is always good. It's people, human beings with their free will, that can be horrible. That's the difference that I believe about when bad things happen. People are bad, but God is always good. And I don't know how to explain away horrible physical ailments, chronic illness. I don't know how to do that, and I don't claim to have all the answers. I know that whatever is unknown, there's a reason why it happens. The happiest of people trust in God completely because they know that their lives are already determined and that their job is to become collaborators in God's plan, not the other way around. No matter how bumpy the road might be in your life or in anybody else's life, here's the dealio. Happy, peaceful people know in their bones that God in the universe has their back. And that is enough for them. I hope this has helped you today. I hope this makes sense. I love you. I pray that you allow yourself to develop a relationship with God, whatever you call God, whether you call God a he or a she or Buddha or an energy or higher power, whatever words you use. I pray that you give yourself the opportunity to connect with the sweetness and goodness of God and God's energy. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.